In the previous video, we have covered encapsulation. In the current video, what we will do is we will cover inheritance. Inheritance, the main use of inheritance is code reusability. We will see how it's going to be in use in this session. Welcome to aArambh, the first step towards your coding career, which would be a roadmap to the IT world. So without any further ado, I am opening up my IDE. So, this topic that we are going to cover today is inheritance. Inheritance, if you look at the word inheritance, the word itself means that you are inheriting something. So, inheriting in general, when we refer to it, if we observe, a child will be inheriting some property from his parent. If a parent has 1 lakh rupees in his bank balance, later on the child can inherit the balance from his parent. In a similar fashion, what we will do is we will first create a class. Let this class be called as vehicle. In this class, I will give a property string brand equal to Toyota. Let this be the brand. And I will define some methods in it. A start method, let's say, and in this method, I will write vehicle started. And I will also have another method called a stop method. And in this method, I will write vehicle stopped. So this is a class. This is a class vehicle. Now, just to inherit the properties of the vehicle class into a class which will be a child class of this, what we will do is we will use the extends keyword. So how we are going to do that is I will say class car extends. Extends is the keyword. Extends vehicle. When a class car extends vehicle, and in this class car, let us have one method called as play music. Here I will say music is playing. Now let's see how inheritance comes into picture. How does it work in action? So in order, when we're dealing with classes and objects, what we will do is whatever class we have, we'll create object for it, right? So we have a class car. I will say car equal to new car. Then after that, what I will try to do is using this new instance or the object that I have created for the car class, I will see what all methods are available for me. If you see the start method and stop method, play music method is available. It is already in the car class only, but the start method and stop method are from the parent class because this car class is extending the vehicle class. From the vehicle class, we have access to the start method and the stop method. And obviously, we will also have access to its own method, which is play music. And we also have access to the attributes inside the parent method. The attribute that is present inside the parent method is brand. So let me try to run this code and see how does it look like. So ideally what it should look like is vehicle started should be printed and vehicle stop should be printed and music is playing should be printed and for car.brand Toyota should be printed. So as you can see, vehicle started, vehicle stop, music is playing and Toyota are printed. So the consensus is using the child class, we are able to access the attributes, the and also the methods that are present in the parent class. So let me comment out this part and let me take some other class, for example. So this time what I will do is I will take a different class. I will take a class called as class animal. And in this animal class, what I will do is I will define a constructor, a simple constructor. And in this constructor, what I will write is, let me drag this a little bit. What I will write is animal constructor called. Now I will have another class which is a subclass or a child class of the parent class. Whenever we have a subclass, how do we know that this dog class, for example, is a subclass of animal class? We use extends keyword once again. So whenever you see extends keyword, it must be understood that we are actually dealing with inheritance. So this has a constructor. In this constructor, what I will do is, let me drag this a little bit. I will say dog constructor called. So now I'll go to the main method. Here, what I will do is I will create an instance of the dog class. Dog D equal to new dog. Now I'll try to run the method. I will try to run this class. And let's see how does this behave. So you see animal constructor is called, after that dog constructor is called. First the animal constructor is called, after that the dog constructor is called. That means whenever we are calling an instance of the child class, always the constructor in the order of preference, this is called as constructor chaining. Parent constructor is first called, after that the child constructor is called. So now we will take another example. I will create a class person. Here I'll give an attribute string name equal to Mohan. Then I'll create a method void display. Then I will say person display method. Then what I will do is I will call a subclass for this parent class. Class student extends person. Class student extends person. For this student, I will give a name, this time a different name. Here I will give a method called as a show method. And in this method, what I will do is I'll try to access the members, that is child name. Here we have the property name directly. So I'm accessing the name property from here. Then I'm also trying to access the name property that is present in the parent class. So in order to access the parent name, what I will do is I will use a keyword, a Java reserved keyword called as super.name. Whenever we are referring to super keyword, we are referring to the parent class. We are referring to the properties of the parent class. So there is a parent class, there is a child class, there is a super class, there is a subclass. These are the words that are used interchangeably. And in this in this show method, I will say super dot display because display method is in the super class or the parent class. So for this child class, I will go in the main method and I'll create an instance of it. Student S equal to new student. Now I'll call the subclass S dot show. So before running it, we will try to understand what should be printed. We are looking at s dot show. This show method should print child name, which is Ravi, and parent name, which is super dot name. In super name is Mohan, parent name should be Mohan, super dot display. In super, you have a display method, which is person display method. These should be printed. So we'll run the code and see if it is behaving in the same fashion or not. So you see child name Ravi is printed, parent name Mohan is printed, and person display method is printed. Now we will come to a very important topic called as method overriding. We have two things, method overloading and method overriding. In this video, we will be discussing about method overriding, and in the next video where we will talk about polymorphism, we will discuss about method overloading. Later on, I'll make a video especially on what is the difference between method overriding and method overloading because it is a very important interview question. So I have a class employee. I have a class employee. Here I am defining a method salary. Then I will say something like employee salary. Then what I will do is I will define a subclass to it. Class developer using extends keyword again. Extends employee. This time, despite in the previous methods, in the previous classes, what we did was in the parent class, there is a method, in the child class, there is a method, that the name of the method is different. This time, what I want to do is I want to give the same method name, salary. So I want you to notice here, as soon as I've given salary method, you can see there is a symbol coming here. That means this is overriding the parent class definition. This is overriding the parent class definition. So this definition is developer salary. Now how we will see this in action, we'll go to the main class once again. I'll comment out the previous code. Then I'll try to create an instance of the employee class. Employee. This time I can actually create, I have two options. If you see, I can create, uh, if you see here clearly once more, I can create a class using employee class or developer class. Here I see employee class or developer class. So if I create a instance using developer class, and after that I'll call employee.salary because there are two methods with the name salary. One is inside employee class and another one is inside developer class. Because I have created an instance using the developer class, the method which has overridden the parent method that would be called. That means developer salary will be printed. So if you see on the console, developer salary is printed. The reason is we are calling an instance using the child class. And in the child class, the definition is different. And the method has same name in the parent class and also in the child class. That is the reason. Now what we will do is we will try to learn about types of inheritance. There are three types of inheritance, let's say multi-level inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, and multiple inheritance. In Java, multiple inheritance is not encouraged. It's Java doesn't support multiple inheritance, but there is another way to achieve multiple inheritance, that is using interfaces. We will talk about that when we will be discussing interfaces topic. For now, we will learn about multi-level inheritance and hierarchical inheritance. For multi-level inheritance, we want to define multiple levels. That the first level, I am taking a example of a class grandparent. In this, I'm defining a method void house grandparent void house, and I'm printing something like grandparent house. Now I will define this is multi-level inheritance. What we are discussing is multi-level inheritance. So next level is class parent extends grandparent. Here let's say I'll define another method void car, and I will print something like parent car. And I'll go for another level. This is multi-level inheritance. Usually we were just using extends keyword one time in the child class, but it can also go multi-level deep. So this is the next level that we are trying to inherit. We're inheriting from the parent class. And here I will give another method, let's say void bike. And I will say child bike. So now I'll go to the main class, and what I will do is I will call the instance of the lowest level inherited class, that is the child class. So child C equal to new child. And here, if you see C dot child class should have what bike method is there. This is its own method. But child class also has access to the car method, which is from the parent. And child class also has access to the house class, which is from the grandparent actually. So if you run this class, what you will do is the main method in the class, what you will see is you will see the definitions of all these methods printed here. So this is how multi-level inheritance is implemented. At this point, it will sound more like theory, but when we go to a real-time project and when we implement this kind of a code in real-time project, it will start making more sense. At this point of time, we want to remember that we are learning the four pillars of OOPS. That is, in the previous video, we have learned about encapsulation, here inheritance, then polymorphism, then abstraction. Theoretical way we will learn. Later on, we will try to implement all of these in a real-time project. When we'll implement all of this in a real-time project, it will make more sense. Now I will define a class called shape. Here, what we are trying to do is we are trying to understand hierarchical inheritance. So I'll say class shape. And this class shape, I will define a method void draw. And I'll give a definition drawing shape. So this is hierarchical inheritance. In hierarchical inheritance, what we will do is, let me write the code, then you will understand what I'm trying to do. Class circle extends shape. Class circle extends shape, and for circle, I will give a different method area, and I will say circle area. Then I'll define another class called as rectangle. In multi-level inheritance, we were extending level by level, right? This time, this will extend the shape class only. Circle is also extending shape class. Rectangle is also extending shape class. This is the difference. This is hierarchical inheritance. Previous one, what we have did is multi-level inheritance. Void perimeter of rectangle. Now in the main class, I'll go there, and what I will try to do is I'll create an instance of the circle class. circle C. We have two shapes, right? One is circle and another one is rectangle. So I'll create a instance of the circle class. Then in the circle class, we have access to the area method. And because this is extending the shape class, we will have access to the draw method also. So here I'll come here and I'll try to access the area method, and I also have access to the draw method. In a similar fashion, what I will try to do is I'll create rectangle class, new rectangle. Rectangle class, we have access to the perimeter method, and this, because it's extending shape class, we'll have access to the draw method also. Now we'll try to run the program. As you will expect, we will see this circle area, drawing shape, perimeter of rectangle, again drawing shape. So this is the basic idea of hierarchical inheritance. Previously, what we have covered is multi-level inheritance, where there was multiple level of inheritance that we are achieving using the extends keyword. Now we will try to wrap up this video by covering two most important points. Private members are not inherited. Second point is final method cannot be overridden. So these 2 points I will explain in action. Let's say I have a class called test. This has a private member, private int x equal to 10. Then I'll have a method, some method, let's say void show. I just called it as private method. Then I will have another class demo extends test. Here I will define another method, something like void display. And in this method, what I will try to do is I will try to access the private method x here. And I will try to access the show method. So if you see, there is an error that is appearing here. X has private access in test. Because X has private access in test, private um, this method also, this is a private method, right? This is a private method. So when you have private variables and private methods, those variables or methods cannot be inherited in the child class. This is how you will come to know that before running itself, we are getting a compilation error. Even here, we are getting a compilation error. The show method has private access in test, and the variable x has private access in test. So I will comment out this part of the code because there is compilation error. We will not be able to proceed further. And the last point that we'll be discussing in this video is final method cannot be overridden. So I will take a class bank. I will say final void. What is final keyword? We will discuss this in upcoming videos. For now, if a variable or a method is defined as final, that means that we cannot change the value later on. At this point of time, remember it like that. It's a final declaration basically. Generally, if we are assigning a value to something, after assigning, we can reassign to the value. Here, reassigning is not possible when we say final. I'll take a class SPI extends bank. Now what I will try to do is there is a final method for me. I will try to override that method. Void interest rate. Like previously in method overriding, we were trying to override a method, same name. When we are trying to do method overriding, we will give the same name. When you give the same name, what will happen is we will be given a statement that interstate cannot be overridden because overridden method is final, because it's a final declaration is already given in the parent class. We can't override this class. So these are all the topics that I wanted to cover in this video. If you have any doubts in this video, please to place your comment in the comment section. I will try to answer back, or I will connect on a live Zoom session and clarify all the doubts. If you have liked the video, if you have liked the content, please do like, subscribe, and share. Welcome once again to aArambh, and all the best to your career.